following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the Tiafangi coming to you with what will hopefully be a successful review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Generation Selects. The name of this figure is the DK-2 Guard, and this figure is basically the black Diaclone version of Generation 1 Ironhide. And in fact, the character's name of DK-2, it actually refers to Diaclone number 2. And in the product catalog for Takara Tomi's Diaclone Robots line of figures that was released in the early spring of 1984, right before representatives from Hasbro went to Japan and brought the Diaclone robot figures here to the United States to become the Transformers characters. This was listed as the number 2 figure in that line. And I can't remember off the top of my head, Ed, if the Diaclone robot mold that eventually became Generation 1 Ironhide and also Ratchet, I believe it might have been the overall third or fourth robot-to-vehicle figure that was designed for Takara Tomi's Diaclone robot line. I know with 100% certainty the very first one was the mold that became Generation 1 Sunstreaker. But regardless, for those of you wondering why the title of the video has the word Steelpelt in it, that's because just like the Jurassic Park figure of JP93, the DK-2 Guard, his name isn't a name, it's actually a number. And I do not like the idea of Transformers characters having numbers, and so I decided to give this guy my own brand new personal name, and I decided to give him the name Steelpelt, since it's a name similar to Ironhide, where he has the name of a metal and the name of a animal skin in on him. I think it works, but let me know down in the comment section what you guys think of my renaming this figure Steelpelt. I think it's a name that works for the figure, and I'm honestly surprised that Hasbro and Takara Tomy couldn't think of a proper name to give this thing. The first Transformers action figure to have a number instead of a name was the Studio Series B-127 figure that was released last year in 2021. And I was kind of hoping that was going to be a one-time thing with that version of Bumblebee having a number instead of an actual name. But with that figure first, and then the Jurassic Park crossover figure JP93, and now with the DK-2 Guard, or Hasbro and Takara Tomy, it seems they're starting to run out of names for brand new Transformers characters, so they're starting to use numbers as names for these characters. So I personally hate the idea of Transformers characters having numbers instead of actual names. So, but yeah, that's my new name for the DK-2 Guard, is Steelpelt. So without further delay, let's get him opened out of his box and take a close look at him in robot mode. Alright, and so before we get the figure completely unboxed, here it is inside the packaging. The plastic insert is now gone, replaced with cardboard. And instead of the plastic tie-downs, Hasbro and Takara Tomy have brought back the paper tie-downs that were first introduced with the Hunt for the Decepticons line back in 2010. I personally prefer the paper tie-downs over the plastic ones since they're much easier to take out. And I cannot just get over the shiny, glossy black that's used here on this figure. But yeah, it's really impressive looking. Some Transformers fans and collectors, we'll get more into it in alternate mode, but some have pointed out that with the striping on the side of the vehicle mode, that this figure could almost pass for a Transformers crossover figure of the A-Team van. And I personally hope someday we do have that. So, but yeah, I really enjoy how this figure came out. Black's always been my favorite color, so to have the black Diaclone version of Ironhide made into an official Transformers figure is something that I'm really impressed to finally see. So, give me a moment and I will be right back. Alright, and so here is the DK-2 Guard, or as I have renamed him, Steelpelt, out of his box. And once again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I just cannot get over the shade of black plastic that's used on this figure. It's really eye-catching. It's been a long time since I've seen a Transformer that had this glossy black paint to it. Most Transformers figures that have been made cast in black plastic in recent years. If you actually hold a very bright light up to it, it's actually a dark greenish brown instead of solid black plastic. But from what I can tell, looking at this thing in hand, it is actual black plastic, so I'm really thrilled to see that. And again, this figure is based on the Diaclone version of Ironhide, so it's a straight up repaint of Earthrise Ironhide. And alright, so here it is next to the Earthrise Ironhide figure. And I love how they did almost kind of like a inverted paint job, where the parts on Ironhide that are black are red on this figure, and the parts that are red on Ironhide are now black on this figure. That statement isn't entirely true. Ooh, now that I have them in hand, there are some parts such as the shoulders, others, and of course the tires and the hands that are black on both figures, and some of the parts on Ironhide that are red on this figure. They're actually gray on Ironhide. But yeah, overall, I really enjoy how this figure turned out. And again, it has the exact same weapon that came with Ironhide and Ratchet. It's based off the little laser gun that the original G1 figure came with. And with here on this figure, it's cast in black plastic, but most of it has been painted silver, and it's blast effect compatible at the front. And then of course you can take the sled off the back. And again, if you're very gentle, you can. It's been a while since I touched my Earthrise Ironhide and Ratchet figures. I just brought Ironhide out for this review to do a comparison with, but if you can either hold the sled at arm's length like this, and you can use the 4 or 5 millimeter barrels here at the end as a 4-barreled cannon blaster, or if you want to tuck that away and put it here on the shoulder, you can use it as a riot shield to keep Decepticons at bay. Unfortunately, there's no joint that allows the arm to move forward, so as far as using it as having it in the actual position of a riot shield, the only way is to rotate the lower arm sideways and have it sitting like this. You could rotate it facing the opposite direction if you want to protect the entire arm. But again, it's the folded windows on the back hit it right there on the shoulder and block it from full use. But overall, I do enjoy how this figure came out. So, setting the shield off to the side. If you don't have Earthrise Ironhide, this is a figure that could pass for Ironhide. With the mostly black paint job, it looks almost like the movie-verse version of Ironhide, with the exception of the face being painted red instead of silvery blue. But you got a ball-jointed head, so it can rotate at 360 degrees left and right. It's a little stiff if out of the box, so I'm not going to rotate it too much, but you got universal jointed soldier, so the arms can rotate forwards and backwards at 360 degrees. You've got a swivel joint in the bicep, a hinge joint in the elbow, a swivel joints in the wrists. It's a waist swivel, so the figure can rotate 360 degrees left and right. You got universal jointed legs, so if you move the arms up out of the way, the figure can do a full split. Legs can go forward this much, so you can get some good kicking action. Legs can go back that far. Swivel joints in the thighs, hinge joints in the knees, and you have a ankle pivot there, so you can angle the legs out, and the feet will stay flat on the ground. But yeah, overall, I do enjoy how this figure came out. Again, the only major gripe that I have with this figure is its official name of DK-2 Guard. That's an ID number, not a name. So that's why I am forever going to refer to this figure by the new name that I gave him, Steelpelt. I think the name works with him, giving him a name similar to Ironhide's. But yeah, there he is in robot mode. I really enjoy all the shaded black plastic, and also the red and silver highlights on here are pretty great as well. Pretty much the only other color that this figure has, if you move the arm up, he's got some yellow and gold stripes for his vehicle mode. He's got gold striping here on his shins, and then of course he's got solid blue paint on the eyes. But that's pretty much it. it for this figure, and it is very reminiscent of the original black Diaclone version of Ironhide. So now that we've looked at the robot mode, let's get this transformed into vehicle mode and wrap up the review. Alright, and so here is the DK-2 Guard, or Steelpelt, transformed into his vehicle mode of a jet black version of the Sherry Vanette. And I apologize if I mispronounced the name, but yeah, this is basically a black minivan, and these gold old racing stripes with the red and yellow stripes. This is the same as the striping that the original Diaclone figure had. And yeah, all in all, I am really impressed with how it came out. Here's the Autobot logo. It's a standard red Autobot logo that doesn't have an outline on it, so it's just a red Autobot logo on the roof. That is the only faction symbol that this figure has. It's the same with Earthrise Ironhide and Ratchet. So here's a size comparison of the figure with Ironhide. Again, the only difference between these two figures is the paint job. The Ironhide's mostly red, this is almost entirely black. One nice thing, though, is that unlike the Earthrise Ironhide and Ratchet figures, and even the Shatterglass Ratchet figure, even though the back of the van and is the robot mode feet, here on the black figure it actually looks like it honestly looks like a power generator or a double exposed engine, which I think was the look that Hasbro and Takara Tomy were going for with this figure all along, having the same robot mode feet from the Siege version of this mold. But here for the for the almost entirely black plastic, it blends into the vehicle mode better. It's not an eyesore by any means, but it blends in most effectively on the black plastic of this figure than it does on the red or white plastic on the Ratchet and Ironhide versions. So, with the DK-2 Guard released, there are 8 different versions of this mold that have been released. The original version was the Siege Ironhide version. There's 4 versions of the Siege mold: Siege Ironhide, Siege Ratchet, Siege Crosshairs, and the Netflix Decius Army Drone. And then there's now 4 versions of the Earthrise use of this mold: Earthrise Ironhide, Earthrise Ratchet, Earthrise Shattered Glass Ass Ratchet, and now the DK-2 Guard. On that note, even though the paint job doesn't match entirely to it, if you wanted to replace the red Autobot logo on the roof of this figure with a purple Shattered Glass Autobot logo, then this figure could double as the Shattered Glass version of Ironhide if you wanted to swap out that red Autobot logo with a Shattered Glass one. And again, it's not entirely a perfect match to the paint jobs that the Shattered Glass version of Ironhide has, but overall it does a pretty good job. I really enjoy Transformers figures that are made out of black plastic, and yeah, just overall I really enjoy how this mold works in black. The windows are done. Apologize for the glow. If I fold down the windshield, the windows on this figure are done in a very light shade of gray. My camera is picking up on the reflection from my bedroom lamp, the plastic windows used on here, but yeah, I just really enjoy how the windows blend in as well. It isn't like it is on Earthrise Ratchet and Ironhide, where you've got the front windows done in clear plastic, but then you've got these unpainted plastic windows on the back of the figure. But here on this figure, it blends in again more effectively than previous versions of the mold. And that's one of the things with black plastic, is that if you see something that could be a potential eyesore or a flaw that makes you OCD with upset about the figure not entirely being a robot in disguise, when the figure is done in black plastic, it does a much better job than of hiding those flaws than other colored plastics do. But yeah, I cannot get over how incredible this figure looks. As I said at the beginning of the video, with the gold striping here along the side, some Transformers fans and collectors have said that if you were to redesign the front bumper section and redesign the back section and just replace some parts on this figure, it could pass for the A-Team van, and from the television series, the A-Team. I personally hope we get an A-Team van, a crossover figure in the Transformers collaborative line from this mold someday. But yeah, again, the same exact wheels that have been used on every version of this mold. And just overall, I really enjoy how the figure came out. So for my final thoughts, do I recommend you get the Generation Selects DK-2 Guard and add it to your Transformers collection? Absolutely I do. This mold looks fantastic, done in black plastic. If you missed out on Earthrise Ironhide, this figure being based off of the black Diaclone version of Ironhide, it does a pretty effective job of being the Diaclone version of Ironhide as well. Again, the only major gripe I have with this figure is the official name that Hasbro and Takara Tomy gave it. That's why I'm going to thought of a new name for this figure. So from this moment forward, this figure will forever be known by the name Steelpelt to me. Please let me know what you guys think of my name change for this figure down in the comments section. And yes, this has been a review of the Transformers Generation Selects DK-2 Guard, the latest Transformers figure to be released in both the Generation Selects subline of the Legacy line and the latest Transformers character from the Diaclone series to be made an official Transformers character. So thank you guys all so much. This has been the TFN Geek. Please stay tuned for my other upcoming reviews, and until next time, you guys, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.